In our last video, when we had our income of $10 and price of a download was $1 and price of chocolate bars was $2, we ended up with this budget line and our preferred point here. Now we want to ask the question, well, what happens if our income increases? So suppose it increases to $15. This is going to shift our new budget line and our new preferred point. So the increase effectively changes our budget line by shifting it to the right parallel. Now if we decreased our income, it would shift to the left parallel. So now at our $15, if a download is $1, now we can buy 15. And if we spend all of our income on chocolate bars, we can divide 3. Again, what we're doing here is we're taking our income and dividing them by the price of downloads or by the price of chocolate bars. Now our next task is to figure out, well, where's our new preferred point? Well, we can divide the new budget line into 3 areas. The area at the top here, the area in the middle, and the area at the bottom. Now, more than likely, our new preferred point is going to be at a point similar to the one we have here, where we've increased our consumption of downloads from 5 up to 10. If the new preferred point is anywhere in this area called A, what we say then is music downloads and chocolate bars are normal goods. And so a normal good means that when our income increases, either our consumption increases or consumption doesn't change. Now this is different than an inferior good. So in this example, suppose that as our income increases to $15, our consumption of chocolate bars goes from 1 to 3, however, our consumption of downloads goes from 5 to 0. And in this case, downloads would be considered an inferior good. And the definition of an inferior good is as our income increases, we consume less of a good. And so in fact, any area in B would imply that download is an inferior good. Now let's use our budget line in another example. Suppose we're considering purchasing a car. So a car is an example of a unit demand and it's a large purchase. Now if we buy a car, that may influence the number of downloads and chocolate bars we can have. So previously we discussed the decision to buy a car would be if the price of the car is less than or equal to our valuation, and our valuation is what our willingness to pay for the car is. Well, at the same time, we must also consider the opportunity cost of the car. That is, well, what about all the other goods and services I'm going to have to give up because now I'm allocating money towards a car? What the purchase of a car will do is to shift our budget line for downloads and chocolate bars in this case to the left. We'd have to find a new preferred point, and in which case our consumption of chocolate bars and the consumption of downloads are going to decrease. Now let's consider what happens when price of a good changes. So in this case, the price of chocolate bars is going to go from $5 down to $2. Now we've got our old preferred point here of 5 downloads and 1 chocolate bar. Now the change in price is going to change the slope of the budget line. Now that chocolate bars are $2, when we take our $10 of income and divide by 2, we can now purchase 5 chocolate bars. Now we're going to have a new preferred point. In this case, we increase the consumption of chocolate bars from 1 to 2, and we increase the consumption of downloads from 5 to 6. Now this change, this new preferred point, is impacted by 2 effects. There's a substitution effect and there's an income effect. Let's look at the substitution effect. So the decrease in the price means that one good becomes relatively cheaper to the other good. In this case, it's chocolate bars. Therefore, we shift our consumption or substitute our consumption towards the cheaper good. So this means we're going to buy more chocolate bars. Now the income effect says, well, the price of the good has decreased. Now we can afford more of all goods. So let's look back at our original consumption point. At the new price, we're going to spend $5 on 5 downloads. And if we're buying 1 chocolate bar, that's only costing us $2. So we still have 3 extra dollars. So the income effect doesn't change our income, but in effect, it makes us seem like we have more income because now at our old consumption point, we've got money to buy more of both goods. And so the substitution effect can explain our increase in chocolate bars, and the income effect can explain why we're able to buy more downloads. And so anytime a price changes, we have this income and substitution effect. Now let's take a look at a change in price of music downloads. When music downloads change, for instance, suppose that the price of download goes from $1 to 83 cents, this means we can buy more music downloads. In this case, we can now buy 12 if we spend all of our money on downloads. In our new preferred point, we see we increase the consumption of downloads. Now suppose the price of downloads increases from $1 to $1.20. This means that the amount of downloads we can buy, given our $10, has decreased to 8, shifting our budget line down, making the slope flatter, resulting in a new preferred point of 4. When the price of a good changes, we change the quantity that we buy. What we've done here is we've shown the change in quantity of downloads given a price change. If the price increases, the quantity we demand or buy goes down. If the price decreases, the quantity we demand or buy goes up. And what we're doing, in essence, is beginning to create our demand curve, which we'll show in a future video.